My name is Tarmack, and this is your game industry news wrap-up for the week of May 20th, 2017. At the Bit Summit keynote in Kyoto, Platinum Games, developers of Nier, the Bayonetta series, Transformers Devastation, and loads of other third-person action spectacle fighters, started teasing a new intellectual property. It's described merely as a formless, shapeless IP with a brand new director. The most interesting part of this story, however, is that it will be an intellectual property created and owned entirely by Platinum themselves. So unlike Nier and Bayonetta, Platinum will get to exclude PC gamers themselves instead of blaming the publisher. Hot on the heels of their win against Facebook regarding the Oculus Rift, Zenimax Media, parent company of Bethesda, is now going after Samsung. Assuming the court filing is accurate, and of course banking on the previous lawsuit as a precedent-setting one, the GearVR headset also used Oculus tech, unfairly acquired through John Carmack and Palmer Luckey. While the Oculus Rift itself commands a much higher price point, the GearVR is the de facto VR headset that an enormous number of people own. Numbers high enough that numerous game industry stats research firms have included it in order to make the VR market look much more healthy than it currently is. Samsung is a pretty big target to go after, and if some similar tech went into the GearVR, they've probably got a case here. At the very least, it's better than going after single-word trademark lawsuits and cease and desist letters for projects nobody would confuse for the buggy mess that most Zenimax games release in. Following those VR troubles, HTC has announced a new standalone VR headset, but it's not the Gen 2 Vive that many were hoping for. The standalone headset doesn't have a name yet, but it comes with Daydream support, which is the Google VR package used to turn our personal privacy invasion devices, also known as cell phones, into VR rigs. As a standalone device, the headset will have its own lenses and screens, and most importantly, you won't have to shove your phone into the thing to make it work. Chances are the performance will be similar to a phone, but it's plausible that things like the light bleeding issues and focus problems that come from multiple phone types being used with Google Cardboard or GearVR will be mitigated. The big question is going to be, how much does it cost? Well, it doesn't need to have all of the tech quite as packed as a cell phone, and likely only Wi-Fi access. It will most certainly be cheaper than a phone, but even if they keep it down to a few $100s, I wonder if anyone will buy it. What's the market size for budget VR that has even fewer good applications in games than true home PC VR? We got a major gameplay reveal last week for Destiny 2 on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC, the newest Bungie game which I'm sure will get plenty of airtime at E3 this year. The game is targeted for September 8th, though the PC version will release somewhat later, and the team was very quick to point out a focus on better storytelling and an engaging single-player experience being available to gamers in the more traditional multiplayer title. In a very odd move that might justify a full feature creep video in the near future, Destiny 2 on PC is going to be distributed exclusively via the Battle.net client. And no, I didn't misspeak by not calling it the Blizzard client. Both Mike Morhaime in the presentation and on the blog post on the Blizzard website called it Battle.net. So much for a rebrand, which could actually have some wider implications I'll talk about later. In an interview with PC Gamer, details emerged that Destiny 2 isn't going to have dedicated servers, which is a disappointment in the same way getting told a vegan restaurant is the only option close enough to get lunch at. But more amusing than that, in the same interview with Bungie's PC lead David Shaw commented that the game is not being outsourced on PC, and then proceeded to talk about a studio in New York called Vicarious Visions, who's working on it with daily contact via emails, video conferencing, and frequent trips. So the PC version is being outsourced. It was just an alternate answer. And finally, I hate to say I told you so. Actually, that's a lie. I love saying I told you so. I've done a video in the past talking about the Steam asset flip phenomenon, giving all the math and speculation behind precisely how these asset flips actually make money, whether through game sales or the farming of trading cards. Well, last week, Valve made a blog post talking about the changes coming to the trading card system. Quote, "Even if no real players ever see or buy one of these fake games, their developers make money by farming cards." End quote. Wow, was that blog post ever satisfying to read. The changes coming to the trading card system involves a hidden algorithmic method of determining whether a game is actually being played by real gamers. If I were to make a guess, I'd imagine it would be a combination of play hours over a period of time, alongside data from achievements received and such. Once a game passes the threshold into being accepted as a real game rather than a fake game asset flip scam, players of that game will retroactively be granted cards they would have earned. This isn't the solution I was hoping for, as just like everything else with Steam, they're letting a computer decide, which means the scammers will just find another way, but it's a start. Your game releases for the week of May 21st to 27th are as follows. On May 22nd, Impact Winter, an isometric survival game put together by developer Mojo Bones, releases on Steam. Impact Winter is based around exploration of a frozen wasteland where you'll be rescued in 30 days, if you can survive that long. While I always appreciate games that mimic my own experience with making it through Canadian winters, I'm not sure how keen I am on playing a game like this in May when the snow has finally left my front lawn. It launches with a base price of $20 US and is slated to release on Xbox One and PlayStation 4 later. May 23rd will see the release of Torn Banner Studios' caster follow-up to the Chivalry series of games called Mirage Arcane Warfare. Certainly more flashy than Chivalry, Mirage focuses on high-action spell-slinging combat in a first-person style. And the game is only $30 US on Steam and the Humble Store, so the worst that can go wrong is that it's terrible and you're out about 15 hours of iPhone manufacturing time. RiME, that's R-I-M-E, a title done by Tequila Works, one of the companies behind The Sexy Brutale, and I don't know what's with them and bad video game names, is going to release via Steam, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4 on May 26 with a $30 US-based price. The game is an exploration puzzle game with a very bright, cel-shaded aesthetic where you play as a young boy who woke up on a mysterious island after surviving a crazy storm. And apparently there's a fox that helps you out, because of course there's a fox. It's also supposed to be releasing on the Nintendo Switch, but a date has not yet been set. And also on May 26th, Capcom is releasing Ultra Street Fighter II: The Final Challenges, a remake as you would expect from the name, but on the Nintendo Switch. They're adding a first-person mode where you can use the Joy-Cons to throw fireballs as Ryu at some random NPCs, though there's no news yet on whether they require you to actually yell out Hadouken while you do it. And the game's $40 US. Oh right, they also added Evil Ryu and Evil Ken, so that justifies it being $40, right? This has been your Game Industry News Wrap-Up for the week of May 20th, 2017. I was sick last week and unable to do the Feedback Loop livestream like I usually do, so I'm pushing the same topic to this week on Wednesday, 7 p.m. on Tarmack Gaming on Twitch. That topic is game design that respects players and their time. Post your comments and questions down below to help shape the discussion. My name's Tarmack. Thanks for watching.